Tom Harris, a janitor at the top-secret Orion Space Research Facility in Sydney, Australia, hummed a tune as he maneuvered his mop across the gleaming floor. It was late, and the facility was eerily quiet, the only sound the rhythmic swish of his mop. Tom glanced at the clock, noting it was nearly midnight, and sighed. He loved his job for its simplicity but yearned for something more, a break from the monotonous routine. A sudden clatter from the storage room jolted him from his thoughts. Heart-pounding, Tom set the mop aside and cautiously approached the door. He hesitated, hand hovering over the handle. Gathering his courage, he swung the door open and stepped inside. The room was dimly lit, the faint glow of emergency lights casting long shadows. Amidst the shelves of supplies and equipment, a figure crouched, shrouded in darkness. Tom's breath caught in his throat. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice trembling. The figure shifted, revealing large, luminescent eyes. "Please, don't be afraid," a voice rasped. "I need help." Tom's initial fear was replaced by curiosity. He stepped closer, squinting to make out the figure. It was an alien, unlike any he'd seen in the facility's archives. The creature was injured, its greenish skin mottled with bruises and cuts. "What happened to you?" Tom asked, his voice softening. "I am Zorak, from the planet Zoria," the alien replied, wincing in pain. "My people are in grave danger. I came here seeking help." Tom's mind raced. An alien in need, right in front of him. He had always dreamed of adventure, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. "What kind of danger?" he asked, crouching beside Zorak. "Krail, a ruthless warlord, has targeted my planet," Zorak explained, his voice strained. "Our defenses are failing. We need human ingenuity to survive." Tom's heart sank. He felt a pang of sympathy for Zorak, but also an overwhelming sense of helplessness. "I'm just a janitor," he said, shaking his head. "What can I possibly do?" Before Zorak could respond, the storage room door swung open again. Tom spun around, his pulse quickening. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a renowned scientist at the facility, stood in the doorway, her eyes wide with surprise and concern. "Tom, what's going on here?" she demanded. Tom quickly explained the situation, his words tumbling out in a rush. Dr. Carter listened intently, her expression shifting from confusion to determination. "We need to help him," she said firmly. "This is bigger than any of us." She moved swiftly, tending to Zorak's wounds with supplies from the room. "Tom, I know you feel out of your depth, but you have a unique opportunity here. We can't just turn our backs." Tom nodded, a new resolve hardening within him. Dr. Carter's confidence was infectious. "What do we need to do?" he asked. "We'll need to get Zorak back to his ship and travel to Zoria," Dr. Carter said. "I have some experimental technology that might help us evade Krail's forces." With Dr. Carter's guidance, they managed to sneak Zorak through the facility to a hidden hangar where an advanced spacecraft lay dormant. As they prepared the ship for departure, Tom's mind buzzed with a mix of fear and excitement. He had always wanted adventure, and now it was thrust upon him in the most unexpected way. Just as they were about to board, alarms blared throughout the facility. Tom's heart leapt into his throat. "They found us," he whispered. Dr. Carter's eyes flashed with urgency. "We need to leave, now," she shouted. They hurried onto the ship, and with a shudder, it sprang to life. Tom felt the floor vibrate beneath him as the engines roared. As the ship ascended into the night sky, Tom took one last look at the facility that had been his world. He knew nothing would ever be the same again. With a deep breath, he turned his focus forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the spaceship hummed with activity, Tom Harris and Dr. Evelyn Carter worked tirelessly to ensure their journey to Zoria would be successful. Tom, though still in disbelief at the events unfolding, felt a newfound sense of determination growing within him. This mission was no longer just a distant dream, it was his reality. "Tom, can you check the stabilizers?" Dr. Carter's voice broke through his thoughts. "We need everything to be perfect if we're going to make it to Zoria undetected." Tom nodded and moved to the control panel, his hands deftly adjusting the settings. The ship was a marvel of engineering, and Tom marveled at how his janitorial skills were now being put to such crucial use. He double-checked the readings, ensuring that everything was in order. Zorak, now somewhat recovered from his injuries, approached Tom. "Thank you for helping me," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "My people have a chance because of you." Tom smiled, feeling a sense of pride. We haven't succeeded yet, but we're going to give it our best shot. Dr. Carter joined them, her expression serious. We need to go over the plan one more time. Once we reach Zoria, we'll be entering a war zone. Tom, your primary role will be to support the resistance fighters and help disable Krail's defense systems. Tom took a deep breath and nodded. Got it. I'll do whatever it takes. As they finalized their preparations, the ship's AI announced their imminent arrival at Zoria. The view from the cockpit shifted, revealing the distant planet bathed in an otherworldly glow. The sight was both beautiful and foreboding. We're almost there, Dr. Carter said, her eyes fixed on the planet. Remember, stay focused and stick to the plan. The ship began its descent, and Tom's heart raced. He glanced at Zorak, who offered a reassuring nod. They were in this together. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. What's happening? Tom shouted, gripping the edge of the control panel. Dr. Carter's fingers flew over the controls. We're caught in a tractor beam. Krail's forces must have detected us. Panic threatened to overwhelm Tom, but he forced himself to stay calm. Can we break free? I'm trying, Dr. Carter replied, her voice tense. Tom, you need to get to the weapons bay. We might need to fight our way out. Without hesitation, Tom sprinted to the weapons bay, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He armed himself with a plasma rifle and took a deep breath, ready for whatever was to come. The ship was pulled into the docking bay of a massive space station. As the doors hissed open, Tom and Dr. Carter were greeted by a squad of heavily armed soldiers. Zorak stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. We mean no harm, he said. We seek an audience with your leader. The soldiers exchanged glances before one of them spoke. You will come with us. They were escorted through the labyrinthine corridors of the space station, the atmosphere thick with tension. Tom's mind raced, formulating possible escape plans. He knew they needed to stay alert and seize any opportunity that presented itself. They were brought before a tall figure clad in dark armor, Krail himself. His eyes gleamed with malice as he regarded them. So, the humans have finally arrived, he sneered. I must admit, I am curious to see what you think you can accomplish here. Dr. Carter stepped forward, her voice steady and defiant. We are here to negotiate. Your aggression against Zoria must cease. Krail laughed, a sound that sent chills down Tom's spine. Negotiate? You are in no position to negotiate. You will tell me everything about your technology and your plans, or you will suffer the consequences. Tom clenched his fists, anger rising within him. He looked at Zorak, who met his gaze with a look of determination. They had to find a way out of this. Before Krail could continue his threats, an explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered, and alarms blared. Tom seized the moment, pulling his plasma rifle and firing at the nearest soldiers. Chaos erupted as Dr. Carter and Zorak joined the fight. Head for the escape pods. Dr. Carter shouted over the din, we need to get off this station. Tom fought his way through the confusion, his heart pounding. They made their way to the escape pods, the station shaking with the force of repeated explosions. As they reached the pods, Tom saw Krail glaring at them, his eyes filled with rage. This isn't over, Krail snarled. I will find you. Tom didn't waste time responding. He, Dr. Carter, and Zorak climbed into an escape pod and launched away from the station. As they hurtled through space, Tom couldn't help but feel a mixture of relief and anticipation. They had survived, but their mission was far from complete. The escape pod touched down on Zoria with a jolt, its doors opening to reveal a world in turmoil. Smoke billowed from distant structures, and the sound of distant explosions reverberated through the air. Tom Harris, Dr. Evelyn Carter, and Zorak emerged, immediately taking stock of their surroundings. Welcome to Zoria, Zorak said grimly, his eyes scanning the horizon. We need to reach the Resistance headquarters. Follow me. As they moved through the war-torn landscape, Tom couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and determination. He had come a long way from being a janitor on Earth, and now he was in the midst of a struggle that would test his limits. They arrived at a hidden entrance, concealed by rubble and foliage. Zorak led them inside, where they were greeted by a group of Zolorian rebels. Their leader, a tall figure with an air of authority, stepped forward. Zorak, you've returned, the leader said, his voice filled with relief. And you brought help. I'm General Threx. We need all the assistance we can get. Dr. Carter quickly explained their mission and the technological support they could offer. General Threx listened intently, nodding as he absorbed the information. We have a plan to strike at Krail's command center, but we need to disable his defense systems first. Can you help with that? Tom stepped forward, his confidence bolstered by the gravity of the situation. I can. Show me what needs to be done. General Threx led them to a makeshift operations room where a holographic display showed the layout of Krail's stronghold. We need to take out these nodes, he pointed to several locations on the map, to weaken their defenses and create an opening for our main attack. Tom studied the display, formulating a plan in his mind. I'll need a small team and some equipment, he said. We can split up and hit these targets simultaneously. General Threx nodded. You have it. We'll provide cover while you do your work. As Tom and his team prepared for the mission, he took a moment to reflect on how far he had come. He felt a surge of determination. This was his chance to make a real difference. They moved out under the cover of darkness, navigating through the shadows towards their targets. Tom's team consisted of seasoned Zolorian fighters, their eyes sharp and movements precise. Tom's heart pounded as they approached the first node. Stay focused, he whispered to his team. We need to be quick and efficient. They breached the perimeter and swiftly disabled the first node. Tom's hands moved with practiced ease, his janitorial skills surprisingly applicable in this high-stakes environment. They moved on to the next target, their confidence growing with each success. At the third node, they encountered resistance. Krail's soldiers emerged from the darkness, weapons drawn. A fierce battle ensued, with laser fire lighting up the night. Tom fought alongside the Zolorians, his plasma rifle humming with energy. He took down several soldiers, his determination unwavering. Keep moving! Tom shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. We can't let them stop us now. They pressed forward, their resolve unbroken. As they reached the final node, Tom knew this was the critical moment. He worked quickly, his fingers dancing over the controls. Just as he finished, an explosion rocked the area, sending debris flying. We did it, one of the Zolorians shouted, his voice filled with triumph. The defenses are down. Tom felt a surge of relief and pride. They had succeeded, but the mission was far from over. Let's get back to headquarters, he said. We need to prepare for the main assault. They retreated under cover, making their way back to the resistance base. General Threx greeted them with a rare smile. You've done it. The path to Krail's command center is clear. We'll launch the main attack at dawn. Tom nodded, exhaustion beginning to set in. He knew the hardest part was yet to come, but he was ready to face it. Dr. Carter and Zoria joined him, their expressions reflecting a mix of determination and anticipation. As they prepared for the final battle, Tom felt a sense of unity with his new allies. They were fighting for a common cause, and he was determined to see it through to the end. The night passed in a blur of preparations and strategizing. As dawn approached, the resistance forces gathered, their spirits high despite the challenges ahead. Tom stood with them, ready to lead the charge. Just as they were about to move out, an urgent message came through on the comms. Krail's forces are mobilizing. They're heading this way. Tom's heart raced. They needed to act fast. We'll meet them head-on, General Threx said, his voice resolute. This is our chance to end this once and for all. The resistance forces moved out, the dawn light casting long shadows across the battlefield. Tom took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. The clash with Krail's forces was inevitable, and he knew they had to give everything they had to win. The first rays of dawn illuminated the horizon as Tom Harris, Dr. Evelyn Carter, and Zoria led the resistance forces towards Krail's command center. The ground trembled underfoot with the reverberations of distant battles, and the air was thick with the smell of scorched earth. Stay sharp, General Threx instructed his troops, his voice steady and commanding. We move as one. Today, we reclaim our planet. Tom adjusted his grip on his plasma rifle, his heart pounding with anticipation. He exchanged a determined glance with Dr. Carter, who nodded in encouragement. They had come so far, and now, the culmination of their efforts was within reach. As they approached the outskirts of Krail's stronghold, the resistance forces split into smaller units to carry out their coordinated attack. Tom's unit was tasked with breaching the main gate, a critical step to allow the larger assault force entry. Tom, take point, General Threx ordered. Your team will disable the security systems. With a deep breath, Tom led his team forward, using the terrain for cover. They reached the gate and took position. All right, let's do this, Tom whispered, his voice filled with resolve. Dr. Carter and Zorak provided cover fire as Tom and a few Zolorian soldiers worked to override the security protocols. Sparks flew as they cut through wires and hacked the control panel. Within moments, the gate creaked open. We're in! Tom shouted. Move, move, move! The resistance forces surged forward, pouring into the stronghold. They encountered fierce resistance from Krail soldiers, and the battle intensified. Laser blasts and explosions filled the air, the cacophony of war surrounding them. Tom fought with a fervor he didn't know he possessed. Every step he took was a testament to his determination to see this mission through. He stayed close to Dr. Carter and Zorak, the three of them working in unison to push forward. As they penetrated deeper into the stronghold, Tom's team reached the command center. They needed to disable the main communication array to disrupt Krail's ability to coordinate his forces. Dr. Carter worked on the control panel, her fingers moving swiftly over the keys. We need more time, she muttered. Hold them off. Tom and Zorak formed a defensive perimeter, fending off waves of soldiers. Tom's plasma rifle hummed as he fired, each shot taking down an enemy combatant. Zorak fought with a warrior's grace, his movements fluid and precise. Finally, Dr. Carter let out a triumphant shout. Got it. The array is down. The resistance forces pushed forward with renewed vigor, their momentum unstoppable. General Threx's voice came through on the comms, filled with urgency. Tom, we need you to take out Krail. He's in the central chamber. This is our chance. Tom nodded, adrenaline surging through his veins. On it. Zorak, Dr. Carter, let's finish this. They moved towards the central chamber, the sounds of battle growing distant behind them. The heavy doors opened with a hiss, revealing Krail standing in the center of the room, flanked by his elite guards. Krail's eyes narrowed as he saw them. So, the humans have come to challenge me, he sneered. This will be your undoing. Tom stepped forward, his voice steady. This ends now, Krail. Your reign of terror is over. Krail's guards attacked, and the chamber erupted in chaos. Tom and Zorak engaged the guards while Dr. Carter provided support from a distance. The fight was intense, every move critical. Tom faced off with Krail, their weapons clashing in a battle of wills. Krail was strong and skilled, but Tom fought with a determination born of necessity. He remembered the lives at stake, the people of Zoria depending on their success. With a final, decisive strike, Tom disarmed Krail, his weapon clattering to the floor. Tom leveled his plasma rifle at the defeated warlord. It's over, Krail. Krail's eyes burned with fury, but he knew he was beaten. This is not the end, he spat. Others will come. Tom shook his head. Maybe, but we will always stand against tyranny. General Threx and his forces entered the chamber, securing Krail and his remaining soldiers. The battle was won. Zoria was free. As the resistance forces celebrated their victory, Tom felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had grown from a humble janitor into a hero, his journey marked by courage and sacrifice. Dr. Carter approached, a proud smile on her face. You did it, Tom. We all did. Zorak nodded, his expression one of gratitude. Thank you, my friend. You have saved my people. Tom smiled, feeling a sense of unity with his newfound allies. It was a team effort. I'm just glad we could help. With Krail's defeat, Zoria began the process of rebuilding. Tom and Dr. Carter prepared to return to Earth, their mission accomplished. As they boarded their ship, Tom took one last look at the planet they had fought so hard to save. Ready to go home? Dr. Carter asked. Tom nodded, a sense of peace washing over him. Yeah, let's go home. As the ship ascended into the sky, Tom knew his life had changed forever. He had discovered his potential, forged unbreakable bonds, and made a difference in a world far from his own.